Hey, welcome back to Winning and Losing Fight. I'm going to change gears a little bit today and tell a story. So, we get to the end of this thing. I will we'll see how it applies to you, maybe some situations in your life. And we've all gone through hard times. I mean, we've all gone through the hurt of, a breakup or divorce. Most of us. So, in my first marriage, around the 10th year, in our 10th year of marriage, my wife and I separated. So, I had two small children at home, and having a family was my everything. Even though I was too young, started too young, got married too young, had children too young, wasn't mature enough yet. And of course, I've preached to my children not to make the same mistake. But for those of you watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, you may or may not have gone through the same thing and maybe started sooner than you wished you had. I really didn't have a family to speak of, so I couldn't wait to have my own family and started too soon. But anyway, we so having my children at home and access to them was extremely important. So needless to say, this breakup was extremely devastating to me. So on a Friday evening, and a little backstory here too. I'm going through this difficult time, and in the middle of this, I get a phone call a few days prior to the story I'm about to tell you. I get a phone call from a lady, and she's telling me that her son, who was a friend of mine that I had not seen in many years, we had gone to school together for some time and were friends, but I had since moved into a new foster home and got moved to a different school, and I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I really don't know how she got my number, but she called to tell me that he had committed suicide. Well, I was already in shreds, over, living in this empty house without my family. And even though I hadn't seen this guy in a long time, it really hurt. And I hurt for the mother. She was so broken in telling me about this, and I just couldn't imagine her pain. But she felt the need to express to me how much I meant to her son. And I had no idea. I mean, to me, we were casual friends at school. We spent some time outside of school, but I just didn't consider us, best friends. I really liked him. But I had left an impression on this young man, so much so that, having not seen him for all these years, and his mother took the time to call and let me know that he was gone. So fast forward now a few days. Things aren't getting easier, worse, if better, instead of better. And it's Friday, and I just got off work, and I come home. This is a pretty personal story. Personal enough that I wrote an essay about it a few years back in a creative writing class. So, but anyway, I just got home from work, trying to figure out, it's a Friday night, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, what I'm going to do. My plan is to like every night, is to sit there alone and maybe watch TV or something. But I have a lot of stuff swirling around in my head. But anyway, where my house is situated, from my front door, there's a bank across the street. So I'm just standing there, daydreaming, looking out the window. Cars coming through the drive-through at the bank, and I see my estranged wife in the car with her new boyfriend, and we just broke up. We hadn't been separated very long, so this was pretty devastating, to say the least. He saw me see him, and of course he decided to lean over and give her a kiss to show me who was in control here. And this window on my door had a shade, so I pulled the shade down, and I stood there dumbfounded for a minute, and the anger and the hurt just started, was really welling up inside, and I wasn't quite sure what was about to happen. But behind me there, on this one wall, is a built-in bookshelf, and the shelf housed, things that I had achieved in my martial arts training. There were some trophies there, and there were some plaques and certificates and things hanging on the wall. There was kind of my little shrine, some things that I was proud to have. So I just went berserk, and I just smashed it all. So I just started, punching and swinging and, and slinging stuff in the floor, and I put my fist through the, the glass frames, and just really had a heyday there trying to get control of my emotions, and I just didn't know where to channel it. So it's all over, and I'm, sitting in the floor, leaned up against my sofa. My hands are bleeding, and so I put down there were some newspapers laying there, and I spread one out. And I just kind of sat there with my knees up and my arms draped over my knees, and just letting this blood run down on these newspapers. So at this point, I am in a pretty dark place. I'm trying to decide if I still want to be around the following day. If life is even worth living anymore. It's just a really, really, really dark time, and the pain that was coursing through me, I couldn't deal with it. I didn't know what to do with it. I couldn't get a break from it. And I sat there for a long time. I sat there all night, actually, and sitting beside me is a bag of Cheetos. And I've sat there so long, I've lost track of time. I'm just in a daze. And, the blood's now starting to dry on my hands, and I haven't really moved. And, it's now gotten dark outside. It's dark in the house. There weren't any lights on. And I hear this rustling sound. So I looked over and I shook the bag, and a mouse runs out of this bag, out of my Cheeto bag. And he runs around the corner into my bedroom. And I didn't think too much of it. And I kept sitting there, and he came back. And I hear the rustling again, and he's back in my chip bag, my Cheetos. So I run him off, shake the bag. He runs off. And this time he stops. He stops in the doorway that goes into my bedroom. And he just looks at me. And so all night long we played this game. And each time he ran a shorter distance, right? He got used to me. And I'm starting to think that, I'm going to be feeding this thing out of my hand pretty soon because he's just not afraid of me. But I also caught myself talking to it. And after a while, I start thinking, well, maybe I need to give this thing a name. He's kind of, at the moment, he was my counselor. I didn't have anybody else to talk to. I was in such a dark place. I didn't want to. I know that's the time that we need to reach out to someone, but at the same time, I didn't want to. I didn't want to burden anybody with my pain. So this mouse and I, which is actually the title of the essay that I wrote, it's The Mouse and I, had this conversation all night. And we shared my bag of Cheetos. And I wondered, as the night went on, it came into my mind at some point that and listen, I don't know what I believe in as far as reincarnation and afterlife and what happens when we die, and I don't think about that kind of stuff. I knew that when this night started that I wasn't quite sure if I was going to survive the night, and and I thought about my children and friends that I had, but when you're carrying a pain like that, sometimes it's hard to see past it, And I'm sure a lot of you listening to this or watching this on our YouTube channel that you've probably had similar situations where we can't see past our own pain. But anyway, back to what I was going to say. At some point during the night, in talking to this mouse, I had a feeling that this mouse was there somehow to help me. And then I thought back to my friend who had just committed suicide a few days before this. And I really contemplated whether or not, or considered whether or not somehow this mouse was he. He was there to help me and to stop me from having the thoughts that I was having. So the night was very long, yet it was very short too. I had no concept of time. Just having this conversation, like almost a back and forth conversation with this mouse and sharing this bag of Cheetos with him. He never did take one out of my hand, but he certainly didn't mind crawling into it while it was laying next to me. So I guess if there was a moral to this story at all, it's that we really don't know how our presence affects other people. Okay? So the friend that died, I never knew how much I meant to that guy. I had no clue. And I hadn't seen him in at least 10 years. So, and apparently he thought enough of me to relay his feelings for me to his mother at some point. When he and I were when he was alive and when we were friends and going to school together, I don't remember ever meeting his mother. So anyway, there's a few things here in the story that we have to consider. One is that, again, we don't know the impact that we have on other people. We also don't know who's paying attention to the type of person that we are, right? And how we treat people, how they perceive the treatment that we're giving them. That they're so appreciative of our friendship and our companionship and so moved by it that 10 years in our absence, they're still thinking about us, So the other part of this is that there's always a reason to be here tomorrow. And, if we look, we could find it. And I don't know what the correlation is between all the things that were going on in my life at that time and this mouse that I tried to run off and just wouldn't leave me alone, and then became my friend, and then became my savior that night. I don't know how to explain that. So, but I'm glad that it happened the way it did. And I was probably, I don't know, I was in my 20s when this happened. I'm 57 now. So this is a long time ago. And it's still an impactful memory for me. So, there are forces out there that want us to be here, we need to be here for those people. And I couldn't help but sit at the end of this night, that morning as the sun was coming up, and wish that, and have some guilt that I wasn't there for my friend who died. And, somehow through the contact with this mouse and the conversation that I had with it, it just made me realize that that I needed to be here to help those going through the same pain that I was going through that night. It didn't all wash away that night, but I got through the night. And up to that point in my life, and since that night, and I spoke about this in my my debut episode, that we sometimes we just have to look for reasons to try again tomorrow. I think that no matter how dark our day is, that if we could just get through this one, tomorrow could be a whole different day, a whole new day. By that next morning, back to the story. Okay, so it's starting to get light in the house, and there's a knock on my door. So at the time, I didn't have friends that just came calling, but except for one. And he's going to come up in future episodes because I was so connected to this person that we could almost feel each other's pain. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know that. But he knocked on my door and said he just came by to check on me. Said he had a feeling that I was going through a rough time. And of course, by then I'd made it through the night. But seeing him and knowing that he came to check on me made me realize how he would have felt. He would have felt how I felt knowing that my friend had died. And had I not survived the night, I would have put him and everybody else that that cared about me through the same thing. And it was just, it was a profound moment, profound. So I don't know how this story helps you other than to say that set the pain aside and think about the people that you would leave behind and try to find a piece of anything to hold on to till tomorrow. Just one little thing, one person, one more experience, anything, any little thing to get you through to tomorrow. And then again, like I said, sometimes minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. And with that, like I said, just find another reason every day to do it one more time, just one more time, one more time. And just keep going through this cycle and of finding a reason to be here tomorrow. There's a reason, and sometimes we're blind to it. But I think for me and for a lot of people, maybe curiosity. How will tomorrow be? Will it be better? And I understand losing hope. I've been there myself. But again, just please try to find one little tiny thing to get you through the next minute, hour, or night. Okay? And I'll see you back here next time. Bye.